The Holy Gospel according to St. John, the second chapter. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now, standing there were 6 stone water jars for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to them, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. He said to them, "Now, draw some out and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. When the steward tasted the water that had become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs, in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord. Everybody loves a wedding, or perhaps everybody loves a wedding reception is more accurate. There's food, music, dancing, wine, everyone enjoying themselves and celebrating the occasion. It's not just the way our culture celebrates a marriage. This is the way many people do it, including people all the way back in Jesus's day. What many people take for granted, however, is the logistics of a reception. The planning, the attention to detail, and the checklists of minutiae to make sure everything is as perfect and as enjoyable as possible. There's all the prep work and hiring vendors, coordinating with caterers, booking venues, a DJ, and on and on. All because some things in life are special. Some things are worth celebrating and making as memorable as possible. This is the scene that Jesus finds himself in from today's gospel. And to the embarrassment of the hosts, the wine gave out, as the text puts it. The good times are suddenly coming to an end before it really had the chance to get started. Now, what happens next is a fascinating exchange between Jesus and his mother, who, interestingly, never is called by the name Mary in the Gospel according to John, just mother. Jesus' mother's reaction to the wine running out reveals a few clues that we can detect between the lines. First, Jesus' mother has some social connection to the hosts of the wedding party. She's compelled to ask Jesus to intervene, meaning she has a stake in the outcome of the party, or at least is invested in it going well for those who are being celebrated. Second, Jesus' mother is aware that Jesus has the capability to do something miraculous. Jesus' mother doesn't make a specific request of Jesus. All the text gives us is that she said, "They have no wine." And you have to imagine everything else around those words: the tone, the body language, the eye contact. Jesus' mother believes, trusts, and has faith that he can do something in this situation. The third clue in this interaction is Jesus' response to his mother. "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come." It's not exactly a "yes, ma'am," is it? There is an edginess in Jesus' comment to his mother. You can sense the tension. Some of this, in my opinion, is based on the original audience of this gospel, the Johannine community. One of their prime theological emphases is Jesus as the only begotten Son of the Father. According to this gospel, Jesus reveals his glory as a Father's only Son. and is close to the father's heart, which doesn't leave very much room for the mother. Perhaps the strain we hear in Jesus' response to his mother is more to do with the people who wrote and received this version of the gospel and their underlying theology. Jesus sounds like he wants to be left alone, that he has no intention of making a scene at this party. He also sounds like he might be a little resentful of being treated like a circus act. Jesus' mother is painted as nagging Jesus to turn on the magic for this party that she's socially invested in. And Jesus is not ready to peel back and expose any kind of divine capabilities he has. Not yet. And maybe Jesus would have never been ready. Maybe Jesus was avoiding his mother's nagging for years prior to this. Maybe she was constantly encouraging and reminding him to step out of his comfort zone, to become what God had intended for him to be, to risk everything that comes with being vulnerable. Jesus had a purpose to live into, a future to surrender to, and it had to begin somewhere, sometime. And in this gospel's telling, Jesus' purpose began to be revealed at this wedding with this sign. So Jesus tells the waiters to take the 6 stone water jars used for the Jewish rites of purification and fill them up with water. These weren't vessels used for ritual bathing. They were used for washing hands before meals, which is why there were so many jars that were empty. A large party with many guests who are gathered to eat had already used them. And the water that goes into the jars comes back out as wine. But not just any wine. It is the best wine, the good stuff, the type you savor and use sparingly because it is expensive. But what Jesus has done is not just save the party or rescue the hosts from embarrassment. Jesus is foreshadowing something that God's people have been longing for, dreaming about for centuries. A reckoning between life and death. A victory where death does not get the final say anymore. And the tragedy and the hardship of death is replaced with feasting. One of the places this idea is found is from the prophet Isaiah. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will make for all peoples a feast of rich food, a feast of well-aged wines, of rich food filled with marrow, of well-aged wines strained clear. And he will destroy on this mountain the shroud that is cast over all peoples, the sheet that is spread over all nations. He will swallow up death forever. It was on another third day that a feast would begin, that a marriage, a unification would be celebrated, where death meets its death, where the water of your baptism is transformed into the wine of a new covenant. God has prepared a place for you at this feast. Amen.